So, today is the beginning of our 4-week series called Prosperity Speaks. And, I was talking to someone before the service today, and I'm just going to cue you in. This whole topic of prosperity and unity teaches prosperity. People have said that unity teaches a prosperity gospel, okay? The thing is that the prosperity teachings that I learned in 1996 are very different than what I'm learning and want to teach now. And so I'm just kind of setting this up to let you know that I am in this with you in terms of really looking at what does prosperity mean to us now, and what is ours to teach in an evolved way in unity? Okay, that being said, I think I've landed on a few things. And so over the course of this month, we're going to be exploring it just more deeply. And so I just invite you to be in this discovery with me. Because again, as I'm preparing these messages, I'm learning. And I am like, wow, okay, all right, so what does this really mean? Okay, so today I wanted to talk about some just prosperity foundational teachings. And there are 3 questions that came to me to kind of stir the pot. To stir the pot of how we see prosperity. Yeah. So these 3 questions are, what is the nature of God? What is the nature of you, me? And what is the nature of life in the world? So what is the nature of God? What is the nature of us? And what is the nature of life in the world? And so these 3 questions, to me, are very multi-level. Because if we look at especially the first question, what is the nature of God? That's a humdinger in itself. It is. Because of, unity, most people in unity have come from a more traditional Christian tradition. And so many of us have a view of God, and that's embedded. We talk about our embedded theology. And I am always inviting, if you come to a class of mine, I don't care if it's a book study or an SEE class, whatever it is, I'm going to invite you to continue to look at what your embedded theology is. Embedded theology is that theology, I'm going to review, that we were taught growing up that really is cellular. Because folks, I've been in unity 20 plus years, and I grew up Southern Baptist, as most of you know, and it still just comes up and rears its head. And it's not a bad thing. It's not. And please hear, I want you to hear this, that wherever you are in understanding these questions for yourself, it's not wrong. Please hear that, okay? We're all on this. To me, it's an evolutionary journey that we're all on. But I know that I grew up with a God that was a little finicky. If Sheryl was a good girl, she was going to get good stuff. Maybe, if God felt like it that day. I grew up with the belief of a capricious God, a God that, may or may not say yes, regardless of whether I did something good. But if I did something good, there was a lot better chance that I was going to get something good. So really, I grew up with a God that looked like Santa Claus. Okay, Santa Claus. So if I was a good girl, I would get something in my stocking, but if I was a bad girl, I'd get a lump of coal. All right, and the thing is, that same view of God is in New Thought teachings. There's a song by one of my dear, sweet, I love Karen Drucker, that she writes, "There, God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need." And so we're still perpetuating in songs like that, it's a great song, it's just that there's still a God outside of us, or either God lives within, we can say, oh, but God lives within me, but God's going to give me what I need. And so what we want to explore in that, and I'm going to invite you to work with these 3 questions this week. So what is the nature of God for you? Because is there a God that you are depending on that's going to give you what you need because you are being good? You're being a good truth student. Okay, and so all these questions overlap each other. So let's look at the next question. What is the nature of you? Because that's very tied in to our view of God. Because folks, on our spiritual journey, the reason we want to know more about God is because we want to know more about ourselves. And this week Louise Hay died. And those of you that have been in New Thought for a while, I don't know if I'm sure you're probably familiar with Louise Hay. Louise Hay created a whole, I'll call it kingdom, of books and resources based on the teaching that the foundation that she taught was you can heal your life. You can heal your life. But you have to do the work. And so when we look at who we are in this equation of prosperity, do you hold yourself as someone that's worthy to receive the abundance of the universe? Because going back, I'm going to flip back and forth between the nature of God and the nature of us. Our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, said that God is substance. And if you've been in a prosperity class, you know what that means, but I'm going to talk about substance. Substance is the creative energy of the universe that's underneath and within and around everything. And so, Charles Fillmore was very ahead of his time. And now in quantum physics, which I am not about to stand up here and tell you that I'm an expert in quantum physics, but what I have gleaned from those teachings is that, folks, what we call God, and Teilhard de Chardin said that it's the ceaseless, restless, creative energy of the universe. There is a field of infinite possibilities, that it's an infinite field of intelligence and creative energy. And that's what many people call God now. Instead of, an anthropomorphic, meaning human quality God that is going to give us something, that we need when we're good or when we're not, or withhold when we're not. What if we could just start opening our minds to this idea that what God is this infinite creative field of intelligence and creative energy? Okay, so let's go back to what is the nature of us. Could that be our nature? I heard a uh-huh. Yeah. Now, I don't know about you. I didn't grow up, learning that I was an infinite creative being that could do anything she ever desired. No, I was told some different things. Yeah. And so going back to Louise Hay taught us how to heal those wounds that were created from our childhood, when we were told that we were not whole, that we were not enough, that we were not capable, that we were not lovable, valuable, that we weren't enough. So, our work as part of claiming prosperity is to do this healing work on how we hold ourselves and how we hold God. And what is the nature of life and what is the nature of the world? What if the nature of the life and of the world, now, beyond the appearances that are showing up right now, what if the nature of life and the world is also this infinite field of possibility? So, going back to what Eric Butterworth said about spiritual well-being, there's a lot of emphasis in prosperity teachings about having. I want to have something that I don't already have in my life. And when we look at there's like this, one thing I think we sometimes want in prosperity teachings is tell me how to just do it. Give me, I want an equation, I want a formula, tell me how to do it. Well, if there is that, it's called be, do, have. And here we go, what is that? Be, do, have. In order to have, the foundation of all actions we take and all acquiring or manifestation is who we are being. You see, who we are being is foundational to the actions that we take and what we have. Joe Dispenza, who has done a lot of work in this arena, and I know that Edie has studied him and loves him, he says our personality is what creates our reality. Our personality is what creates our reality, and our personality is who we are being, how we are showing up. And so, foundational to that is who are you being in the world to create the prosperity that you say you want? See, so often we want something that we don't have, but we're unwilling, and I am including myself in this, folks, believe me, we are unwilling to make changes in how we're showing up in the world, but we want our results to be different, right? And so the foundation of all manifestation or all prosperity in our life is who we're being. That's where the work is. What is our true nature? And so what I am coming around to get to what prosperity really is, and I'm going to invite you this week to also look at what is prosperity to you. What does it mean to you? But to me, what I am getting to in my life is if we are and we live in and we move in this infinite field of intelligence and possibility, what if prosperity is allowing that? What if it's just about allowing what already is to express in our life? And to look at what keeps us from allowing the infinite possibilities to express in our life? What blocks that? And for me, it's about, is Sheryl enough? Looking at those old beliefs that I was taught as a little girl. Who am I being and how am I showing up in the world? Are you with me? Okay. Because I think we look at cause and effect. We look at how I want to create an effect out here, but where we're looking is, I don't have that. Versus, how about focusing on causing an effect? Causing an effect by who I'm being and what I'm claiming about myself and what I'm claiming about the divine and what I'm claiming about the world, the infinite nature of possibilities. Okay, I'm trying to read the energy in the room. How are you doing? Yeah, so this is a little bit different, a lot different than what, if you just hold in mind, if you hold thoughts in mind, like The Secret, if you hold thoughts in mind, you're going to produce after your kind. How many of you have held positive thoughts in your mind and it has not produced after its kind? Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so we want this formula. And so what I am inviting us to do is to reverse the be, do, have. Instead of focusing on having, let's focus on who we're being. Folks, that's where the work is. And if we want to create a different experience of prosperity in our life, if we want to create, no wonder Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. He didn't say do the change you want to see in the world, have the change you want to see in the world. He said be. Who are we being? That's where our work is. And so what I'm going to invite you to do this week is to journal, be with these questions. What is the nature of God for you? What is your nature, and what is the nature of life? And if you come up with anything, and be honest with yourself, because little truth students sometimes want to say, okay, I am whole, and I am magnificent, and I'm beautiful, and there's this voice that goes, yeah, right. That's where the work is. Folks, there's no magic formula to prosperity, as much as we might want it. If we're going to be the change we want to see in our lives and in this world, we get to roll up our sleeves and we get to do the work that Louise Hay taught all those years of what is keeping us from claiming and knowing the truth of our divinity. What is between us and knowing our wholeness and our beauty and our magnificence? Because I tell you what, when you know that, you can live knowing, letting go of how the manifestation shows up, letting go of the how, and allow the infinite creative energy that is the universe, that is infinity, to express. You see the difference? We don't have to control it. We don't have to memorize a formula and say, I've got to have this, I'm going to do this in order to create this manifestation in my life. No, I am being the truth of what I am knowing, and I am allowing the prosperity, the infinite abundance that is to express my life. Do you hear the difference? Yeah, isn't that yummy? Let's do this work together, folks. Okay, let's allow, because this is roll up your sleeve work, to heal our life and to really open our lives to the prosperity that is. And let's support each other as community. That's what community's for. All right, so this week, let's work with those 3 questions. What is the nature of God to you? What is the nature of you? And what is the nature of life? And then throw in, what's prosperity to you? Because we're going to talk about that next week. Are you with me? Let's dive in. All right, and let's affirm. As I claim the infinite nature of life, I open myself to experience unbounded prosperity. And so it is. I'll see you next week.